Good morning. Welcome to Denver 7 News at 7 o'clock on Local 3s. We have a fresh blanket of snow laying across the metro this morning. The snow has stopped falling, but you can see the roads are still snow covered and pretty slick out there. So just be careful on your morning drive.
And hopefully people are getting a chance to sleep in a little and wait it out. Schools across the metro are delayed. A few of them we can mention. Douglas County is on a 90-minute delay. Denver, Jefferson County, and Adams 12 schools are all delayed 2 hours. We have a full list scrolling at the bottom of your screen, or actually you can also check that on thedenverchannel.com or the Denver 7 Plus app.
Meanwhile, our team is spread out across the metro, giving you a real-time look at conditions on the road. And we have Lisa and Jason joining us here where the storm has cleared out, but it is still really cold out there.
Mainly single digits now in most neighborhoods, so it's chilly. Jacket, hat, and gloves for the kids as they walk out the door. What a pretty shot, though, there from Westminster. Snow covered after a good 4 to 8 inches of snow fell here in town yesterday afternoon and overnight. But look at how fast it moved out. We had the last little bit of snow hit parts of southeastern Colorado this morning, and now it's stretching all the way into Kansas. That I-70 drive east of Colorado is going to be pretty icy too as the storm moves in that direction. But we've got clearing skies statewide this morning, and it's going to be a beautiful day. Take a look, though, at some of these numbers. Arvada right now 4, Golden 6, Evergreen 2 below. These are the current temperatures, and when you factor in a light wind, it's going to feel more like 0 out there. We'll get into the 30s, above freezing this afternoon, and that sunshine's going to really help to melt things off. Should see upper 20s by lunch, and then low to mid 30s this afternoon. Denver right around 35. 40 near Pueblo, 20s and some teens for the mountains today. Now coming up, we'll take a look at your high country forecast for the weekend. It's going to warm up there, but it's really going to warm up down here. Details on the Super 7 Day.
Speaking of the high country, do have some chain and traction laws up that way. Loveland Pass was still closed at last check. Right now you can see some of the different road conditions. Denver Tech Center looks pretty clear for us, but you can see some of the other conditions like down at C470. It's not so much, and it's not too far away from here. And down across I-25 at 128th, mostly clear up there. Let me take you to the area right over by 6th Avenue at I-25. As you take a look, this is just a moment ago from Air Tracker 7, and look at this guy. He's slipping and sliding. This is that ramp that comes from eastbound 6th Avenue to go north I-25, and it's still very slick in there, and he just can't get going, can't get enough traction here. Probably not the greatest tires in the world on that car right now, and so that's why it's going to be a little bit slow for you. Take a look at some of the other trouble spots. We've had crashes on I-70, on I-76 for you here this morning, and that's why it's going to be really slick and slow in some of those spots. And we do have some slower traffic here on I-25, 270, and that drive out to the east side of town. So it's going to take some time, unfortunately, in some of these areas for you here this morning. It's not the worst conditions. It's not as bad as last storm, but it is going to be a little bit dicey in some spots. Right here along Ward Road, just north of I-70, that's where Veronica Acosta is hanging out, checking out some of the road conditions. And some of those hills, not only there in Lakewood and Westminster and over there in Arvada there, Veronica, they're a little tricky for some folks.
They are, and we've noticed a couple things this morning. The biggest in the past 30 minutes or so is that it's gotten a lot colder out here, and it might be because we're near one of these hills. This is specifically the one on 58th and Highway 172. The other big thing that we've noticed is drivers seem to be feeling a bit confident this morning. They're driving at those normal speeds. They're not slowing down, not hitting the brake as much as we've seen them in the past. Jason, you mentioned that prior storm. We were at a different hill for that, and during that storm, we were definitely seeing those cautious drivers. They're being more patient than they are this morning. We are seeing a blowing snow on the highways. Of course, that's coming from some of those vehicles that didn't get to wipe all of it off their top, and some of that pushing back on some of those other drivers. So make sure those windshield wipers are working, and of course, take your time as you're out on the roads. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, Veronica. Good advice. Let's get a check on the east side of town now.
Yeah, Denver 7's Colette Bordelon is live in Aurora at Bicentennial Park this morning, and the snow looked pretty soft and fluffy there this morning.
It's honestly gorgeous out here right now, totally untouched in the park. We're here by the intersection of Potomac and Alameda. You can see traffic moving slowly behind me. Not too bad though. Those roads definitely have been cleared. A little bit slushy though, what we were noticing as we were driving here. Now we've also seen it's picking up. The morning commute, there's more cars on the road. We're right in the middle of it. You can definitely tell traffic starting to move a bit quicker, like Veronica was saying. I also heard Jason though say, don't get too comfortable out there. Still make sure you are taking your time, giving yourself that extra bit of time before heading out on the roads this morning. But the snow, really not as bad as we were seeing last week during that big snowstorm. Roads are looking better out here this morning. At those intersections, of course, you're gonna wanna give yourself that braking a little bit beforehand because it does get a little bit tricky in there starting and stopping, but you guys know that if you're from Colorado, that's not news to you. But yeah, just take your time and hopefully you get to enjoy the snow a little bit out here. Live in Aurora, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
Yeah, a few cars behind you there still with the snow piled up on the roof, so don't forget to brush off your car before you go. Thank you, Colette. The storm is also moving east. It's brought rain to parts of Oklahoma all the way up to New York and down to Georgia, and that has an impact on flights across the country. In and out of DIA, we just checked FlightAware. There are 60 cancellations and 28 delays so far this morning. Not too terrible. We also want to see what the snow looks like in your area. You can always post to the Discover Colorado Through Your Photos Facebook page. Christina shared this beautiful video of the snow falling right toward the lens, and Kristen posted a beautiful shot from Aspen as well. If you'd like to join the page, just head to facebook.com/RCO. You can also keep up with the road and weather conditions anytime using the free Denver 7 Plus app. We have an hour-by-hour forecast and our 24/7 weather stream there. We also send push alerts if there are any crashes you need to know about for your morning commute. You can download it right now to Roku, Amazon, Apple, or Android devices.
This morning, the Douglas County School Board will post the job opening for superintendent. This comes after a more than 5-hour meeting last night with a lot of people speaking out. The board decided to extend its original timeline in searching for a superintendent. It plans to discuss applicants March 1st and could vote on finalists March 3rd. The board will still have to finalize that plan at next Tuesday's meeting. Sources in Douglas County say the choice by the majority members of the school board for the next superintendent is Erin Kane. She's a former interim Douglas County superintendent and currently heads up the American Academy Charter School. No names have officially been made public. Meanwhile, Douglas County Schools will not be releasing the names of teachers who called out sick on February 3rd to protest the firing of Corey Wise. The district had to close schools that day because so many teachers were out. The names were expected to be released through an open records request, but safety concerns arose when teachers at two different schools had threatening letters left on their cars. The district tells Denver 7 law enforcement is looking into those letters. Two breaking headlines this morning on the situation with Russia and Ukraine. There are reports of explosions in eastern Ukraine, and right now both sides are accusing the other of violating a ceasefire. Also within just the last 10 minutes, Russia delivered responses to international security proposals for Ukraine. The Kremlin wants to block the country from joining NATO. ABC's Ike Ajachi is in Washington with the latest.
This morning, the Russian military releasing these videos claiming its forces are withdrawing from Ukraine's border. But new satellite images from private security firm Maxar shows Russia's continued military buildup near Ukraine. The White House estimating as many as 7,000 additional troops have been added. The UK's top military intelligence officer says additional armored vehicles, helicopters, and a field hospital are moving toward Ukraine's borders. Those sources also say combat medical units have been moved into forward positions. Military experts claim social media, better internet service, and satellites make Russia's attempt at the element of surprise more difficult to pull off.
We haven't seen a pullback. We'd like to see one. If we see one, we would welcome it. We're prepared for diplomacy. We're prepared for aggression. We're prepared either way.
Invading Ukraine will prove to be a self-inflicted wound. The United States and our allies and partners will respond decisively.
But the high-level diplomatic push continues. Vice President Harris leaving for Germany this morning to participate in a security conference with European allies. Meanwhile, Russia announcing an investigation into unproven claims of alleged mass graves of civilians in the Russian-controlled regions of eastern Ukraine. U.S. officials suspect the claims are part of a false flag operation intended to justify a Russian attack. And in Ukraine, a tale of two realities. The country celebrating an impromptu holiday of national unity, while those same residents prepare for possible war. Ukraine's capital taking steps to protect its residents in case of a Russian invasion, including thousands of bomb shelters. Later this morning, the UN Security Council will meet to discuss the Minsk agreement between Russia and Ukraine, an agreement that could end the conflict. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
As we continue to feel the tension between Russia and Ukraine, there are impacts right here at home. How uncertainty abroad is affecting prices at the gas pump.
The odds are in Denver's favor to get Aaron Rodgers next season, but a new development in his personal life may impact his decision.